presenting the 40th anniversary of the Reverend Albert D. Carter, Sunday, November the 11th, 1990, directed and edited by Mr. Lorenzo N. Scott. To God be the glory for the great things that he has done. Guest of honor, Reverend Albert D. Carter. A brief history of Reverend Albert D. Carter's pastorate of the Tabernacle Baptist Church. Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church was organized in April of 1944 under the leadership of the late Reverend J.E. Guy. The church was less than a year old when Reverend Albert Davis Carter Sr. moved to Alliance, Ohio from Butler, Alabama, and united himself with the young church. On February the 18th, 1945, Reverend Albert D. Carter preached his trial sermon as a Baptist minister. Reverend Albert D. Carter had been an AME Methodist minister in Butler, Alabama. At Tabernacle Baptist Church, Reverend Albert D. Carter served as an assistant pastor, Sunday school superintendent, and president of the Baptist Training Union. On July the 16th, 1950, Reverend Albert D. Carter was called as pastor of Tabernacle Baptist Church. The church was then located at 657 Willow Street, Alliance, Ohio. 2 years later, disaster struck. On December the 6th, 1952, the church building was completely destroyed by fire. While standing looking at the ashes of the burnt building, almost everyone thought that this was the end of Tabernacle Baptist Church. How could the church survive under these disastrous conditions? We didn't have much money. We could not afford to buy a used building, and a new building was totally out of the question. All hope seemed to be gone. Many people felt that it was the end of the church, and also many members left. Would this be the end of the Tabernacle Baptist Church? All hope seemed to be gone. In the midst of despair, Reverend Albert D. Carter had a vision. God told him to build a new church building. Critics all over town got busy talking about how it would be impossible to build a new church. How could 5 or 6 poor families build a new church building? Many people said that it would never happen. The critics forgot that with God, all things are possible. Reverend Albert D. Carter said, "We are going to build." The few faithful members caught the vision and started to work. For the people had a mind to work. Nehemiah 4 and 6, and they said, "Let us rise up and build." So they strengthened their hands for this good work. Nehemiah 2 and 18. We obtained 3 lots on Franklin Avenue. The church bought 2 lots. A couple from Canton, Ohio gave Reverend Albert D. Carter a lot, which he turned over to the church. The footer was dug and poured on July the 3rd, 1954. We began laying the blocks and bricks on August the 28th, 1954 at 8:00 a.m. Reverend Albert D. Carter discontinued his salary from December the 6th, 1952 to February the 8th, 1970, so that we could put the money on the building of the church. The late Deacon James King was appointed the building fund chairman by our pastor. He would watch the paid laborers during the day, keeping track of the hours they worked. He would stop people walking by the church site and ask them to help do different tasks on the church building. All the children in the neighborhood became a part of the workforce. Many people worked on the building just to get a meal. The people who provided physical labor on the building are too numerous to mention, but I would like to mention some volunteer workers who worked in the evenings with the pastor. Deacon James B. Davis, the late Deacon James Carter, Reverend Larry Shells, and Curtis F. Ryan would usually be there in the evenings. Reverend Albert D. Carter provided leadership by example for members. During the day, he worked on his regular job, and after work, he went to the church and worked until late. Reverend Albert D. Carter also went to the building suppliers to obtain the materials that were needed for the building. After he told them what he was trying to do, God touched a lot of people's hearts. Some of the suppliers sold the supplies at cost, and some supplies were donated. God will make a way out of no way. After about 10 months of hard work, we moved into the back part of the building on April the 3rd, 1955. The first service was held on the first Sunday in May. With God's help, we finally had a church home. We still had a lot more work that needed to be done. The front part of the church was still unfinished, and the banks, nor the savings and loans, would lend us money to finish the building because our credit was non-existent. If the inside was not built by a certain time limit, the outer walls would have to be pulled down. We could get no money anywhere. Deacon Curtis F. Ryan told Reverend Albert D. Carter about the Broadhurst Foundation in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Reverend Albert D. Carter wrote to the Broadhurst Foundation and obtained a loan to finish the church. The payment started on August the 8th, 1960. The mortgage was paid off on August the 8th, 1963. It took us 3 years to pay off the mortgage, and then we had a mortgage burning ceremony. The church that critics said would not be built was built. With God, nothing is impossible. The faithful few members worked to raise money. People in the entire community gave money to help us build. Tabernacle Baptist Church has always been committed to helping people in need, whether they were members or not. Our church policy has always been to allow non-members to use our building. This church policy is because many non-members gave money and worked on the building. When we needed help to survive as a church, God touched the hearts of people who didn't have a church home in the city. They gave and worked along with the members. After the church was built, Reverend Albert D. Carter adopted a policy of goodwill towards the community by not excluding non-members from using the church building for weddings and funerals. Reverend Albert D. Carter says that Tabernacle Baptist Church doesn't just belong to the members because everyone helped to build the church building. During Reverend Albert D. Carter's leadership, the church has been involved in many different programs, and some of them included the following: the Sunday School, Bible class, Senior Mission, Matron's Mission, Prayer Meeting, Baptist Training Union, Deacons, Trustees, Sunday School picnics, Association picnics, Solid Workers, Communion to the Shut-In, Revivals, Crack-Free rallies, sending get-well cards, visit the sick and shut-in, feeding programs, clothing giveaway, singing ministries, Camp Tabernacle, youth in action classes, Be Free rallies at Thompson Snodgrass Park, nursing home services, Busy Hands Club, junior deacons, junior choir, Precious Voices, senior choir, Christmas and Easter programs, candlelight programs, old folks concerts, vacation Bible school, tutorial programs in cooperation with the Mount Union College students and professors. The church building on Franklin Street was built, and the mortgage with a lot of hard work was paid off in 3 years. The dining room was extended, and the pastor's study was added onto the church. Furnishings were purchased for the church. We obtained new pews, communion table, pulpit, table for the offering, tables and chairs for the dining room, 3 sound systems, 3 new pianos, and an organ. Also, the kitchen was enclosed. A new roof was put on the building. A new floor was put in under the pulpit and choir stands. Glass front doors were installed. New lights, fans, and other remodeling projects, too numerous to mention, which were completed under Reverend Carter's leadership and guidance. Reverend Albert D. Carter has also worked in various community action programs, including Alliance Council of Churches, Better Homes Incorporated, Mayor's Planning Committee, Chairman of Alliance Visiting Nurses Advisory Board, Mayor's Task Force on Hiring Practices, Stark County Community Action and Planning Agency, Executive Governing Board, Alliance SCAPA Advisory Board, Advisory Council Education Department of Mount Union College, past president of the American Steel Foundries 25-Year Club, member of Mount Olive Lodge, number 66, member of the Canton Urban League, the NAACP, elected pastor of Tabernacle Baptist Church on July the 16th, 1950, 40 years, elected moderator of the United New Era Baptist District Association Incorporated in July of 1960 for 30 years. Reverend Albert D. Carter also took part in various community activities. He prayed the dedication prayer at the groundbreaking ceremony of the new high school. He prayed many times at the Memorial Day services at the city cemetery. He prayed at the Alliance High School baccalaureate services in 1965, 1968, and 1983. He spoke at the Good Friday services on the last words of Christ for many years. He was the first speaker of the Martin Luther King holiday services. He also was the speaker in 1990. He took part in the Black Negro History Program for many years. He worked with the chaplain's office at the Alliance City Hospital. He officiated at many wedding ceremonies in many different and sometimes unusual places. On Valentine's Day in 1986, he officiated at a junkyard wedding. It was televised on Channel 5 news broadcast that evening. In October of 1990, he officiated at a wedding ceremony at the Alliance City Hospital. The bride's grandfather was the groom at the Valentine's Day junkyard wedding. As of October the 21st, 1990, Reverend Albert D. Carter has officiated at 214 wedding ceremonies. Reverend Albert D. Carter resided in Alliance, Ohio since 1941. He retired from the Alliance Works American Steel Foundries on February the 28th, 1978, after working there for more than 36 years.